Today in the crypto space, we see the market looking pretty good. Bitcoin up approximately 1.5% above the $57,000 mark. Ethereum up approximately 1.5% also above 2,300, looking pretty good for the heavyweights. The rest of the crypto space, the altcoins also doing good. We have Toncoin, ICP, OP, Phantom, and many others pushing to the upside. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to talk about one project that is, retracing like many others, and of course looking for that horizontal support, and that project is called Arweave. So you know what, let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome on the channel. We talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities. Whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. Hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here with this market. We see that the market cap is actually rising. Okay, not bad. We've been seeing a bit of trading volume to the upside, also pretty good. But in the last little while, we've seen the trading volume chill out while the price or the market cap is going sideways. Not bad. At least it's going sideways. If we can get, a bit of reset of momentum in the market while market cap goes sideways, it is a sign of strength. Okay, so this is what we have to definitely keep an eye on. If we make a higher low on the volume, meaning volume picks up again, it's very likely that we see this little consolidation right here at this sideways price, this sideways momentum, sideways market cap, basically become a bull flag. Guys, that would be very healthy to see the market continue to the upside. And of course, Bitcoin generally looks very similar to the market cap chart. Why? Because it's the largest cap project out there. Of course, look at the same thing, pretty much looking for a bull flag for a continuation on lower time frames. Guys, that's pretty bullish for Bitcoin. We know that the bull flag is definitely there, big picture on the daily, with that massive cup and handle. We also see Bitcoin right now in the lower time frames also giving us, a beautiful bull flag for continuation. So these are good things, right? We're definitely seeing some green. We already in about a third throughout September, which, technically based on historical price action, September is usually a really red month. Guys, we're already a third in and we're doing pretty good. In fact, I would say that we're in the green, right? So not bad at all. We have Solana pushing to higher levels, and you can look at all these little fractals, right? Give or take, a lot of these projects are up approximately 2 to 5%, give or take. We'll scrape through to get an overall consensus here. We have Polkadot grinding upwards, but today a little bit down, but still I like the trajectory. Bitcoin Cash, Chainlink waking up a little bit, and as we keep on going down, we have ICP killing it, doing pretty good, up 8.5%. FET also doing amazing. What else do we have here? We have many projects definitely waking up today, 3%, 2%, 5%. OP is doing good. Layer 2 on Ethereum up to 18-19% in the last 7 days. Guys, this is bullish. This is good. If we see the Ethereum ecosystem start to flourish, it starts to give us an idea that maybe altcoins are ready to go. The problem is that we need Ethereum on board because it has the market cap to actually move the sentiment of the market, particularly those individuals that use the Bitcoin dominance to judge whether we're going to see a rotation into altcoins. Ethereum has the power for that Bitcoin dominance to fall. Guys, we need Ethereum on board. Calm before the storm. Or, do we see other altcoins, other major, larger, replacements of Ethereum basically take over? Guys, I'm thinking that we need Ethereum. I'm leaning on that side of the fence where, you know what, Ethereum is where it's at. We need Ethereum on board. Let's continue going down here. We see a nice injective waking up very nicely. And if we continue going down, we get a lot of good ones. And some are neutral, no doubt. Some are neutral. Arweave, of course, I'm going to be covering Arweave in a second. We're going to take a look at, the rest of the market. We'll take a look at Bitcoin Bitcoin just to use it as a leading indicator. Guys, it's very important that we track Bitcoin as we look at other projects, other charts, because if we see weakness in Bitcoin, despite what the altcoin is looking like, you know, it's very likely that it takes a hit if Bitcoin comes down. So we have to pay attention to Bitcoin. I always start my analysis getting you know, a sense of what Bitcoin is up to, and then we start looking into the altcoin, because that way we can get a big picture perspective of the markets in general. Currently, we see Ethereum, Arweave pretty much coming down, and it's pretty much not looking the best as far as its price action. So I question, is it time to DCA, or is it time to wait for lower levels? Let's continue going down. We do see a lot of good ones. What about the exchange tokens? Right now we're seeing Gate nice and strong, pushing to the upside. I appreciate. KuCoin pushing to the upside, didn't break above previous highs, but still looking okay because it's grinding to the upside. And we probably have some other ones that are doing good as well, right? We have, what other tokens do we have here? We have some good projects. Brett is waking up 3%. It's up 12% in the last little while. So we do see, you know, the exchange tokens looking pretty good. Where's BitGet token? It's got to be some here. House Store Chain Rune is doing good, up 6%. Phantom is killing it today, also 10%. Guys, the market is doing great, right? It's obviously not out of the woods yet. You know, we're not out of the woods in the sense that we could definitely dip down, but it's doing great today. It's doing pretty good. Proof of life, definitely. All right, guys, I know you're here to talk about charts, so let's begin. Let's take a look at Bitcoin first. First, we're going to take a look at Bitcoin, then we'll jump back to the Arweave chart. Bitcoin, at the end of the day, you know, like I said, is this a bull flag? Big picture, is this a bull flag, or is it a cup and handle? Either way, it's bullish. You know, if we get into lower time frames, we start looking at what has been happening in the last little while, and of course, we're still below some very critical levels, but this green pump to the upside that we had in the last, you know, 24, 48 hours has been pretty good, right? Pretty good, no doubt. So let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. Guys, as I always mention, you know, I have to maintain my vision, my conviction. My conviction is big picture. Like big picture, I feel like we're going up. Eventually we're going to go up, and I feel like, you know, a worst case we come to 44, but the way we are right now, it could be that we hold this level and we start springing. However, in the short term, I have no choice but to understand the fact that we are still making lower lows and lower highs, and I need to be defensive. I need to be strategic as to how I deploy my capital. I would be doing two things. Number one, having a long-term positions that I build. I would be building long-term positions that I'm not willing to, you know, bounce around with. I'm going to be getting in and holding. And number two, if you are going to be playing the market on lower time frames, be prepared to get in and get out, and only using a small portion of your portfolio. That's the only way, just to basically farm more tokens or farm more capital, and raise capital that way. I get it. Trading is a very viable way to do that if you're a successful trader. But at the end of the day, separate your accounts, separate your bags. Long terms are long terms. Don't be touching them for at least a year. Then what we do have, or until we see, you know, the market look frothy, and of course we'll be tracking this market daily. But at the end of the day, if you're going to be trading, you can see that Bitcoin at the end of the day could get rejected any moment. If it gets rejected right around this level, 59 and change, 59,500, guys, that's bearish. Very bearish. Rejection coming down. Very bearish. Lower lows, 44K we come. This is why I'm saying that if you're going to have long-term spots, you're going to have to basically be willing to endure a dip, that if it does come down. Short-term, get in, get out. Quick stop losses, do your thing. But ultimately, the way we are below that 200 daily, we got some work to do. So I'm bullish. I was bullish right around this level. This was great entries, great opportunity to DCA. I did buy a few bags here and there, but ultimately, I'm always keeping my mindset that really we could still roll over here, guys. We're below the 200, below resistance. We didn't break any structure or character to the upside. You know, we have to maintain very objective here. What else do we see? We do see oscillators. You know what? The momentum oscillator, guys, it's very indecisive. Like, we're not really getting anything out of it at the current moment. You can see we're kind of going sideways. We did get oversold. Is it likely that we get overbought? Yeah, it is likely. Statistically speaking, it is more likely now that we got oversold, that we, you know, revisit overbought conditions. Another thing that I do appreciate are the expansions. If you look at the background, we got another expansion, a little guy right here, basically smaller than the previous. And this is clearly Class A bullish divergence here. Okay, Class A bullish divergence is the strongest type of divergence. And we're also getting this divergence also on the momentum, which is the purple line. between this bottom and this bottom right here. And you can see that either we're a double bottom, if you want to classify that as a double bottom, sure, or a lower high, slightly lower based on the bodies. You're not including the wicks when you're analyzing divergence. Okay, that's very, very important. And ultimately what you're trying to do here is identify the fact that this is a class B bullish divergence. So we're getting some divergences in momentum, which for me, the momentum oscillator, the multi-momentum oscillator, does a great job highlighting these scenarios as far as momentum goes. And if you look at the trend oscillator, these expansions, you can see this one definitely smaller than the previous, while the price action is double bottoming once again. That's a class B bullish divergence also. But big picture, you can see that there's a lot of indecision. It's not like we're expanding in one direction, clear directional price action. So this is what we have to be very clear about, is if you are super bullish, you're expecting a direction to the upside. If you're a super bearish, you're expecting a clear direction to the downside. The reality is the market's giving us neither. It's fairly sideways. Yes, there's a bias to the downside, like I mentioned, but the reality is this is a retracement, and retracements are meant to eventually break to the upside. That's what I got to say about Bitcoin. Let's jump right into Arweave. Arweave, at the end of the day, is like many other altcoins, retracing, trying to find horizontal supports desperately. And, I was thinking about which project I should be covering today. And there was a couple on my list. And the one that I had on my list was one that I didn't choose. And I chose to shift into Arweave. Why? Because Arweaves have price action. Arweave has historical price action. A lot of new projects that are out there right now are either bleeding out, basically coming down to lower levels in a wedge type pattern, and looking for horizontal support, maybe getting our first inclinations of that support, or maybe not. Whereas Arweave, at least we know we can play a little bit safe. Why? Because we have data. And the data could give us a bit of confluence. You can see how we wicked down to about $16.20. Now, keep in mind, guys, it's been a while since I covered Arweave. I don't even remember the last time I covered Arweave here on the channel, but you can see that at any given point, a few days back, many days back, we did get that wick and touch this horizontal line perfectly. Now, I keep all my charts on the Discord. Whenever I do a dedicated video such as this one, I put a copy of the charts on the Discord so that we can reflect on what happened, and it's a good way to study and backtest, historical price action. And ultimately, you can see how nice that bounce was, that buy up. Now, what I see here is a potential double bottom. Okay, it is still sloping to the downside, but that bottom that is being created at the current moment is a very hopeful bottom, because ultimately we're below the 200, which is not a good look. Let's be clear, it's not a good look. And there's no more real lines that I got to put in here, because you can see this is the resistance line at the current moment. If we break above this diagonal line, and you guys know I don't like diagonals, but when you see such structures where we're basically holding horizontals by making a double bottom, and you can see this volume gap is no longer as valid as it was before, because we filled it up. You can see this price action did fill it up. So what we're going to have to do is make some changes, updates, right? We have to update. This is still a weak spot, and this is still a horizontal support line now, based on the volume gap, based on the volume profile. Look at this empty space. If we do come down once again, it's either we fill it up more and we consolidate, or we come down and touch 1644, 1620, right around that zone, giving us that opportunity to buy the dip. But what about if we get that double bottom? This is where risk to reward ratio comes in really, really good. Because if you put a stop loss underneath these bottoms, that means that you can mitigate a lot of your losses. That means that your losses are very, very small. Of course, we can keep that in mind. We also can keep in mind that we might want to break above the diagonal line first to confirm a trend reversal, the break of the trend. Also, we would want to get above the point of control. We would want to get above the 200 daily EMA. Guys, we have a lot of work to do for Arweave. Could this be the beginning of where we start to build the enough structure to get bullish to start breaking out? Before I get into a setup or anything like that, let's take a look at the oscillators. You can see that we are getting divergence here, which is not bad on these two bottoms, right? Exclude the wicks, of course. And you can see that we're moving to the upside while this is double bottoming. That's class B bullish divergence. And we can also see the expansion waves in the background. As the price is falling, we're slowly tapering to the upside, which means we're diverging. The momentum, the strength of the momentum bit by bit is getting weaker and weaker, giving us signals that the bears might be losing their strength. We got multiple drives of bullish divergence here on the trend oscillator, But overall, big picture, we are still indecisive in my opinion. And this starts to look like a divergence as well, because as you can see, this wave, this wave is all getting smaller bit by bit while the price is falling. Now, this is leading to me to believe that eventually we should get an expansion out of this, because we are technically consolidating. And you can see that even comparing these two tops, and even comparing these two bottoms, each expansion is getting tighter and tighter and smaller, which means eventually we should expand. We should basically be ready to explode once we get to a level of which volume gets really tight, and all of a sudden we start getting a bit of confidence in horizontal support levels, getting bullish divergences, and so on. So the market is looking good. The chart is looking good. The oscillators are looking pretty good. We got oversold on the oscillator over here in the momentum oscillator. Is it likely to get overbought? It's very, very likely eventually we start going to that direction. I've noticed in the past that once we get oversold, we could hang out there, but we start to look for overbought conditions, even if it's for a bit of a pop. Just keep in mind, the last time we got really overbought was all the way down here. We kind of swung all the way down, and now could be that we start reclaiming previous price action with a nice quick move, or even a slow grind to the upside, which would be healthy. All right, let's get back into the price action. Really, what I'm going to be looking for is a change of character. Right now, we're making a double bottom, which is awesome. And if we start looking at risk to reward, which is fine, let's say we get it right now because it's touching horizontals, and we want to put a stop loss even right here. That's fine. It's a bit tight. It could still hunt liquidity. Let's be real about that. We can still see a stop hunt and all that good stuff. Okay, to see Arweave come down and hunt those bags, you're just gonna basically get all the stops hunted. Basically, everybody's stopped out, liquidations and all kinds of stuff. But that's how the market generates liquidity. So we got to understand that. Then what about if we just even get a bounce here? That would be super healthy. We'll be up 70% just to the previous high. The reality is this is the high that we really want to break. This high is great, no doubt. No doubt, but this is the high where we really want to break above. This is the local high. This is the main high that we need. Okay, so if we get to that level, we're up already 70%. We take a potential loss out of about 5%. And I know the stop losses are really tight, a bit too tight here. Let's say hypothetically we want to give it a bit more wiggle room, just in case it decides to fall through that volume gap. Well, we could take a 20% loss and still take a 70% loss with a decent risk to reward ratio, about 3 or 3.5 to 1. This is still good. Now, at this point, we have some critical decisions. Do we trail up a stop loss? Do we take 10% off the top? I always take a bit of profit, even if it's only 10%. That means that when we do get a dip, I have some capital to play with. Then all of a sudden, we trail up a stop loss, and we could let it run. The trailing stop loss, or a stop loss, a triggered stop loss at these levels, will secure their gains. And you can see we have the 200 daily. If we can break above the 200 daily, we have something to hold, and we have some volume that could hold up the price if we do backtest, which is super important. So you can see the opportunities is definitely there between a nice 70% to maybe 150% move if we do get that reversal. Okay, so change of character. Let's talk about market structure. Ultimately, that's what we really want to see as the main objective here. We have a nice rounded bottom. Do we get rejected again, or do we finally break this previous high? That would be bullish. W formation breakout, measured move is pretty much touching the previous high up here. We got to break above. That's what we really need, because once we break above, you can see the volume diminishes slowly. Right, it slowly tapers in, and it poses a bit of weakness for the bears. The bulls are going to have a lot easier time grinding through this price action until they reach the psychological level of the previous high. That is a psychological level, no doubt. And if you look at price action looking left, the reality is that's the high that will take us to all-time highs in price discovery. We need to break above it. So what are we talking about here? This could be the bottom before we start rolling to the upside. This is why DCAing a little bit into here is not a bad idea. If we do break above, okay, let me just kind of clean this up a second so we can get this story very clear. If we can break above and back test at any moment and confirm a higher low, this is the time to get in once again. And then obviously your DCAing, your average cost will be right around this area, which would be great, because ultimately if you start moving to this level, you'll be up 100%. You can take half on the double. If we get into price discovery, we're doing great. Now, what about price discovery? As I was zooming out there, guys, I noticed that, Arweave is in a very good scenario to potentially get into price discovery and get, a nice move where, we can get into an extension level. Let's talk about extension levels here for a second. Hypothetically, let's assume that maybe this is the bottom. So we go swing high to swing low. This is the bottom, more or less at about $16. At about $16.10, more or less. Let's say that was the bottom. And then all of a sudden we start talking about 1.618. The reality is at 1.618, we didn't even break above previous highs. So we start looking at extension levels. 2.618, 3.618. Could we see Arweave at about $140, $150? I don't see why not. It's a healthy higher high in comparison to the previous bull run, previous high in 2021, obviously. And it's a great target to potentially start taking profits off the top, especially once we break above the previous high. 2.618, 3.608, start scaling out, and trailing up a stop loss. Now you can see the weakness in the volume profile. As soon as we start getting a bounce off of all this volume, we can start reversing to the upside. And that's the issue, is a lot of us might be a bit afraid of, the dip and asking ourselves, how low could it go, and hunt this liquidity down here. Guys, it's still a viable scenario. We could even still get into a flag right here, into a structure that looks super bullish and getting support, and then all of a sudden come down for a continuation ABC structure. The thing is that as you build the structure into here, at least you know where your invalidation is. And your invalidation is $20. If it breaks below $20, you're asking for trouble, and that's when you're going to have to come up with some way to defend your initial investment, to defend your capital. Guys, that's a very important thing. When you're getting into an entry, have a plan how to defend your capital, because nobody else is going to do it for you, only yourself. That is your primary objective. Your secondary objective is to take profit. Protect the gains. All right, guys, so this is a pretty good chart. I would say that yes, there's obviously a bearish case scenario because of the bit of weakness below, and there's obviously the bullish case scenario, and be prepared for both. I would be DCing right into here. If it does fall, this is also a good area to reaccumulate based on the point of control and all the volume that you have here for support. But this is how we are. A lot of these projects are not showing us horizontal support levels just yet. We want to see the change of character. Give us a higher high or a higher low and start looking like a reversal structure, a pivot point structure, and then we'll get into bigger, heavier bags. Guys, if I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor, slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. Take care, guys. Have a good one. I'll see you tonight at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Have a good one, and don't forget, buy the dip.